I know you served in the Marine Corps, and I had asked you this already, but I'd ask you to repeat it for our listeners so they have a little bit of background of what you did while you were in the military. Because all of our jobs are different; they're all equally as important. One isn't more important in a job or than any other person's job because it all meshes together. But that being said, if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about what you did in the Marines?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of. I was a red patcher. I was the Marines that always said that they had AIDS. So you got a 1x3 on your right and left below your cargo pockets, and then you have a 1x1 on your cover. So I was a red patcher. We used to unload, offload ships. I was with the Beach and Terminal Operations Company. We would do HSTs. We would secure LZs. We did a lot of stuff on the ground. That's basically it. I fired big guns and was on ship and on rail and on big planes. And I mean, I did it all: planes, trains, automobiles. The Marine Corps, and got to visit. I think I've been to about 7 or 8 different countries. I didn't do any combat when I was in the Marine Corps, but I did have my fair share of humanitarian type stuff when we were in. And I also did some work in Cuba during I think it was Clinton, when they had some problems down there in Cuba. And so I was on some of those missions down there, working with Unison with the Coast Guard, and then I was, I did see some traumatic stuff too in the Marine Corps. I was on Operation Purple Star in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, when they had 2 helicopters collide, and every single one of those Marines perished. Search, rescue, cleanup. So I mean, it was a good experience. I grew up quick. Like I said, I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I needed structure, and the Marine Corps was that place where I found it. And then from there, like I said, I got out, and then I began to immediately be the best civilian that I could be, and put a lot of pressure on myself to not fail, and to live an honorable life. My daughter was born in Camp Pendleton before I got out of the Marine Corps in '99, and then I would go on to have 3 more kids. So,
man, I can't believe you had 3 more kids. I have 3 kids. I was like,
4.
I know. After that, I should have learned after the first one. I'm just kidding, children. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You are going to get some backlash off of that.
Hey, I had to throw a joke in there. But I do, Brian, I want to get into something that you said earlier. And it almost sounds like he was trying to tell you could have picked up a parasite. That's what it almost sounds like. That attached to your body. Yeah. And when that parasite wants to open up and do its thing, it does it. Now, how long did it take the VA to say, hey, you know what? Look, we messed up. We want to try to make this right. And let's get into that part, because I know that's important.
So that's what happens. After the 4 months, I have the surgery. I get the PICC line. I go back home. The surgeon says, hey, man, I don't know how you're going to, heal up from this, because I've never seen this before. So let's just take it as we go. And the pain never went away. The infection was cured up. It took 4 months to get rid of the infection. 1 month per month I had the infection. And it was very aggressive IV antibiotics. And I would end up just remaining in my chair. And by this time, the anxiety, the depression, my livelihood, I could feel it all just sucking the life out of me. After a myelogram, about 6 months down the road after my surgery, stated that I had permanent spinal injuries from my neck all the way down to my lower L spine, and really my whole body. It is all affected because of the neuro and the cognitive, and your spine is your life. When you have back surgeries and spinal surgeries, and they start disconnecting stuff, and they start cutting on stuff and taking bone out and moving that spinal cord around, and it gets pinched and compressed, and and all this stuff, and then you have an infection eating away at it. Eating away at your bladder and a kidney, and all the little wires and all the little branches that are connected that make your body work, are being eaten. it's hard to come back from something like that. It's hard to get that stuff to be rejuvenated because it really just doesn't happen. So I never ended up getting better. I got better emotionally and mentally finally after about 4.5 to 5 years after the process. So I'm still really new at being happy again. But after the myelogram, we filed a federal tort claim. Okay, that's pretty much, you are suing the VA for medical malpractice and medical negligence. At the 6-month mark, the VA Office of General Counsel from Vermont Street in Washington, D.C. called me, and they stated to me that they were apologetic, and that they concluded that the VA failed to meet the standard of care, and there was a breach in liability, and they're going to be settling my claim. And to not worry, you're not going to lose everything that you've ever worked so hard for. And at this time now, I mean, we're a year down. I've already lost my business. My wife's doing everything that she could do to stave off financial ruin. She started to get credit cards, and because I got 4 kids, didn't have any money coming in, and I was hurt due to no fault of my own. I was hurt due to medical malpractice. I was hurt because of errors that were committed by clinicians inside a VA hospital, not once, not twice, but 3 times over a 4-month period. And so again, they were apologetic, and they were going to be settling my claim. And at the 1-year mark, they dropped a letter, and the letter stated that they found out that out of all the clinicians that failed to meet the standard of care, they cherry picked 1 clinician in there. So I think it was like something like 11 or 12 failed to meet the standard of care. Okay, that were all involved, that everybody that had a part in touching me. One of those was an independent contractor. And see, what a lot of veterans don't understand is that you have a lot of independent contractors that are working inside VA hospitals. And I'm not talking about out in town civilian hospitals. I'm talking about inside the VA hospital, inside DeBakey, inside the walls of DeBakey, or the VA Loma Linda, any VA, the big hospitals, and they have VA IDs and VA doctor's codes and VA badges and VA business cards, and they have VA laptop access. They see VA patients. Those are independent contractors. The majority of them are, because this is how the VA can see their way out of any medical malpractice cases when they do screw up. So what happened in my case is they said, we are going to settle your claim. Then they dropped that letter in the mail 6 months later, knowing that they were going to be holding off and watching that clock. Once that clock struck 12, they dropped that letter and stated to me that they denied it on a technicality, and that they have denied it due to an employment status of the said clinician that they are holding accountable is an independent contractor. So you need to sue her in state court. They dropped the letter to me 3 days after my California state statute of limitations had expired, therefore leaving me with 0 recourse, 0 accountability, 0 justice, and essentially having my right to due process not only stripped away from me in federal court, but also now in state court. Did an about face and left me and my family holding the bag. Literally, their dad should have died within 10 days because of this infection. It should have went septic, and they should have lost me due to medical malpractice. And there's a lot of me that don't make it through these types of cases. Right. A lot of people don't understand that medical malpractice is like the number 2 cause of death in this country. I mean, look, we're all human, and humans make mistakes. And that's just the way it is, okay? But medical malpractice happens a lot, let's face it. But I don't think it happens on purpose. I think doctors get busy. I think they get overworked. I think they get overwhelmed. There's not enough of them. And everybody goes to the hospital for everything now, even if it's a cough or a cold. And a lot of people end up falling through the cracks. But my only thing is that when it happens, there needs to be some sort of accountability and some sort of transparency, so that poor guy or that poor girl literally doesn't lose everything that they've ever worked so hard for due to no fault of their own. And that's where it hurts the most.